Awesome, everybody. Thank you and welcome again to another episode of the LymeBoss podcast. I'm Heather Gray, aka the LymeBoss, and I've got a super special guest. I know I say it every single time, but this time, you should have seen how I fangirled after this dude at the Echo conference. I was like, Anywho, Mr. Justin, the founder of EMF Rocks, I was saying to him that after his talk, I've never heard anybody explain so simplistically and so elegantly the why these rocks work and why we have issues with EMFs that we do these days. Like the light bulbs were just like pinging off me in that course. And I have a beautiful testimonial that we'll get into a little bit at some point too. Like I've just been such a fangirl over your products because too, and the price is so right for what they do. It's just life-changing stuff. So I'm going to stop being a fangirl and we're going to welcome on Justin to the podcast. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Heather, for having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, tell us a little bit about your background. Like, how did you get started in EMFs and rocks and all that fun stuff? I'm sure it's a good story.
Yes, I am an athleticism performance coach. Started athleticism.com 25 years ago, working with amateur and professional athletes. And I do nerve work for sports performance and treat concussion. So I'm working at the body at a deeper level. And what I saw in my practice was the athletes breaking down from wearable technology. And in particular, one of the strongest, fittest guys came in with a smartwatch. And I'm like, hey, get that radiation off your wrist. And because he's like, I'm having problems with my arm. And the pain went away, his arm function restored. And that's when we started diving really deep into the EMF space about a decade ago.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. How awesome that you saw the clinical correlation. Like so many people don't get this causes this, right? And I know I'm wearing a tech, and actually it's one that you can turn the Bluetooth off. So there's no EMFs that are actually being emitted from it. It's something that downloads, and we'll get more into that later. But I feel you. Like there's so many folks that don't realize the effects of EMFs and our cell phones, the radiation, the wearable tech, like all these things are having an accumulative effect, right, on our bodies and our brains. Can you go a little bit more into that?
Oh, in a big way. Yeah, I'll go as far, Heather, as saying that these man-made electromagnetic fields or frequencies are the number one stressor on our body right now.
That's huge. Number one stressor. So can you go into a little bit of the talk that you did, explaining the difference between man-made EMFs and what they do to the body? And
yeah,
like I said, it was such a beautiful explanation that the light finally, like intuitively, I knew for quite some time that this was no bueno, but you put words to it that I understood. So it was just awesome.
All right. So everyone, this is real simple. We're going to do a physics lesson today. And we're going to understand that our air is our environment. Everything around us is our environment. We're going to lean on the air, the atmosphere part, and know that it's ether, plasma, and waves and particles travel through it. And we're basically made on scalar waves. And these are waves that distribute equally in every direction. So all native waveforms are waves that are unpolarized. And a perfect example is when you drop a pebble into a pond, does the waves of the pond go in a straight line to the right or left? No, they don't. They go distribute equally in every direction. So that's the framework of unpolarized waveforms for our entire planet and every living organism. Now we get to this electricity part. This stuff, all man-made electricity, are one directional waveforms, or they don't work. So if it's electricity, it's AC with a returning DC. They're waves that go in straight lines, but they're waves, but they're going in one direction. And then you have dirty electricity, straight line waveforms that have static in it. Then you have wireless. Well, why does every cell tower have panels facing every direction? Because they can only go one direction. So they have to point them at every direction. So this stuff, when you introduce a one-directional waveform into our unpolarized waveforms, it's super disruptive.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you brought up the analogy of, or not even an analogy, but you even talked about laser. Like we can cut through metal with light, with the laser, because it's a focused, energy type thing. But I'm losing my thread here for just a minute.
Well,
you caught me off guard. I was a little I was getting lost again in your talk, and then you stopped talking. I was like, shit, what do I got to say? No, keep going.
I'll keep going. I'll keep going for you. So Eileen McCusick talks about the electric body, electric health. She wrote a book titled that, and she talks about our body being a body battery and how we're charged from the resonance of the universe. And we get the unpolarized positive charge from the sun that distributes equally in every direction. We get the negative ionic charge from the earth, and we pull those electrons from it, and we breathe in the minerals, right? And then hopefully we get it from our food, and then we drink the water for the conductivity. So that's how our body battery works. And that's how we keep our polarity and our charge. Because when you're decharged, especially with Lyme, any other challenge, it's really tough to heal when you lose your polarity. And mold and microtoxins and parasites and Lyme and Candida, they're all charged by EMF. So when we can ground out that charge, we're going to facilitate healing at a greater speed. And you're not going to you're going to be able to lessen the symptoms at a huge level when you're grounded.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is actually a really great spot. We're going to take a little commercial break, and then we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Hey there, everybody. EMF rocks, truly does rock. I don't know if it's gotten to that part yet in this show where I talk about my big testimonial to them, but it's the absolute truth. Every client that now signs up with me actually gets this in their welcome package and the Faraday bag. I highly recommend everybody getting their bundle to start off. You get a big old bag that you can put underneath your workspace next to your bed to help with sleep. I can't get over how much this has helped with sleep and not needing naps during the day. Make sure to get the link in the show notes. Absolutely. Highly recommend EMF Rocks. Probably the simplest, most cost-effective way to help mitigate EMFs from your body, from your environment, and helping your body heal. Because when we can remove another burden, another toxin from the body, it's amazing what can happen. EMF Rocks. Get yours today. Fantastic. So hopefully you folks were with us before the break, had your mind just like that little simplicity, blown the way that I did. Because like I said, it made sense to me with the way nature makes waves compared to the way man makes, one directional things that are, hurting our electric body. So how on earth did you come about with the simplicity and the beauty of these rocks and the everything that you do with your company? How did all that come about?
Well, I started to look into getting grounded by nature because everyone looks to the earth to get grounded, right? And so did I. And then I started looking at the speed of the waveform. So this is really important, Heather. We have to understand how our body works, from a chemistry standpoint and biology standpoint. And then our energy field is what affects that. So I looked at sleep as the biggest thing. And so sleep is where, when we get into a deep sleep, we're at 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. And when I say that, that means that when you're measuring your brainwave state, it's a really low and slow frequency, 1 to 8 hertz. I mean, that's unbelievable. Now, and that's a delta and theta brainwave state, right? So delta is the below 1 to 4, and theta is where we create and we manifest and we get into these really restorative modes. And Einstein would hold something in his hand and drop it, as he would fall asleep, and so he could wake up in that theta state just to get there so he could be more creative. That's when we're really optimizing. and we're one with the universe, because the Schumann resonance of the earth, the healing frequency, the healing pulse of the earth is 7.83 hertz, or waves per second. And that's depending upon the season. And then for our athletes, when they're in the flow state with athleticism, they're 8 to 13 hertz or waves per second. That's when they don't miss, they're in the zone. So we optimize, rev, and perform and sleep and recover at a really low and slow brainwave state, similar to the frequency of the earth. Now, these cell phones, they run at 2.45 billion waves per second. And that's the same, or 2.45 gigahertz is the big word for it. And I've just calculated the gigahertz, because if you're at 1 to 8 hertz, that's waves per second. So it's a wave per second. So gigahertz is billions of waves per second. So 2.45 billion waves per second is the same bandwidth that destructures water. Now, 5G is at 60 to 90 billion waves per second. So that's 10 zeros faster than how we sleep, rev, and optimize of a one-directional polarizing waveform. How in the world are we going to heal or have cognitive function or restore our bodies and perform when we're inundated with this invisible stressor?
I mean, beautiful. I remember the first time I heard this concept was from Dr. Klinghardt,
Yes.
probably 15 years ago. And, he was talking that if you want to heal from Lyme and parasites, that you've got to turn your Wi-Fi off at night. And even so go far as, finding the breaker box and turning off the electricity to your room, period, because this stuff just keeps them, super amped, and you're throwing all this beautiful, protocol at it, but they're still getting amped by the EMFs and the electricity around us. And it was just crazy. And what a game changer it's been. So here was one of the, part of the testimonial that I had for you is, so, we're at the conference and I'm extremely sensitive to Wi-Fi. First 2 nights in the Airbnb, didn't sleep worth of shit. And then I heard your talk, immediately ran out afterwards, and you weren't giving these out at the booth. You were shipping them, but because I could only afford one, they went ahead and gave me one so I wouldn't have to pay, extra shipping for just one, because it just didn't work out. So I took it back to the Airbnb that night. I slept for the first time in 3 nights, and I slept good. It was awesome. So now I take it back home and I put it underneath my desk like I'm supposed to, and I drive with it with my car. I used to always need a nap. Which is not bad, because I still think our pace of life is just a little nuts, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a 20-minute nap. But since I've gotten this, I haven't needed a 20-minute nap.
Wow.
And then now I've even become more productive, because now that I put my cell phone in here and I put it away, and then I'll set a timer for 30 or 40 minutes. So now I'm working in 30, 40-minute chunks that are right? I'm not multitasking anymore. I don't have all the dings and the blah and the blah, the notifications. So it's amazing the amount of work that I'm getting done. And so I think I told you at the conference, all my new clients that sign up in packages, that they will be getting a bundle in their package as a welcome gift, because that is just how much these things have changed my life. And I can't get over, like I said, just how simple, how cost effective, and just and how powerful they are, right?
Oh, thank you. I love hearing that. And we hear that, respectfully, all the time.
Right.
These are, when you're getting that resonance of nature and you're bringing that to your home, it's like walking barefoot in a bag in your home, because all our homes are these electrical boxes. And when you can put it in your car and on your desk, and you've gone above and beyond and started to establish better protocols, and hey, I'm not going to blast all day long with this. Maybe every 40 minutes I'll check in, get some work done, do it, and then check, and then shut it down. And this is when we use the tools, not the tools use us. Mm-hmm. And that's where we have to get to. And same with me, my computer's hardwired. My cell phone's on airplane mode right now. And, and I'm dedicated to this conversation. So there's no wireless millimeter waves going on. Plus I have a grounding bag on the desk Well, I have a mini just to show everyone, but I also have a mini in my pocket as well. So I'm doing the necessary things that will help protect me. I have natural light coming in from, outside. So we got to find this coherence and the circadian rhythms of our body and understand that our first line of defense, Heather, is our energy field and our chi, our life force. And Eileen McCusick, the same person that talked about our body battery, she does tuning fork clearings, emotional clearings for your biofield. And Bruce Lipton, one of the most incredible biologists of all times, talks about your chi, your biofield, your energy field that ironically goes out about 6 feet, right? That is indicative of your health because you have to have energy first, then the chemistry, then the biology. So if there's something chipping away at your life force all the time and you're not creating a coherence with it, it's going to fatigue you for sure.
I love it that you keep bringing up her and her book, because I was actually reading that book on the plane for the first time on the way to the conference. And then again, so when you kept bringing her up during your talk, I'd get even more fired up because I love all the, I love how everything comes together. Right. And it's just so beautiful. But explain to us, because there's a lot of like skeptics out there, right? And I was kind of even one of them at first. Like I remember doing a lap and like completely going past you folks in the beginning because I was just like, EMF rocks, like, okay, whatever. And then I heard you speak and then I was like, now I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. So how do these things work? Why do they work?
Well, do you like eating genetically modified food, Heather?
No,
no one does. I sure don't. And so what we look to is nature and her own resonance. So it feels so good to go outside and get barefoot and get into a body of water or be on a vacation at a beach or something. Well, yes, you don't have the stress, but the biggest part about that process is you're getting your battery recharged. So what we did is we looked and found one of the most incredible crystals. It's a colloid crystal out there. And they have moisture, not just the Tesla crystals with the magnetic properties, but they have a moisture content in them. And the moisture with the magnetic allows them to be exponentially stronger for EMF protection. So shungite, amethyst, black tourmaline, they already known to have magnetic resonances, and they create a piezoelectric effect where they counter, any other, radiation coming at it and matter. They can kick off that energy field and convert it, create a coherence. That's the way our systems work. Well, these ones do it exponentially better. And so we deploy it in a grounding bag. You keep it sealed, use it as is, put it on your bed. You'll sleep 3 to 50% deeper or more.
And I wish I would have listened to your warning on going through freaking security.
You say,
yeah, you're like, go ahead and take it out, right? Because once it's all out of the package, it's like the one you just showed with the little window. Yeah. And I didn't, and I just tried to put it through. And so now they're trying to open it, and I'm like yelling at them because they've got me over here now like I'm some weird criminal. And I'm like, don't open that. You can see through the window, and they were being kind of snarky with me, but they finally did stop trying to open that one piece up and just looking through it. I'm like, they're just rocks. They're just crystals.
Yeah. So because they have magnetic resonances, they'll show up as like a metal on there. So when you go through TSA, you take this inner brown bag out of the cloth and the silver bag that's inside it, and then lay it face up, and then tell the agent, I have crystals, put it in its own bin, and then they can go by, and then they'll look at it and go, oh, they are crystals, and they'll let you go. But if not, they give you the runaround. But you have to tell them what they need to know, because they're not that sharp.
God bless them. How, and this is the part that I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around. So they're wrapped in a Faraday bag, right? So how does something like that still help when it's wrapped in something like this?
Great question. And that was the first question, Heather, that I had. And most people that, kind of understand this physics component have. But what we learned is that when you put a negative charge of the Earth's resonance in a static bag, it squashes, it amplifies it. When you put a positive charge like a cell phone in here, it squashes it to safe levels and what bioinitiative.org would consider safe levels. So there's something about the static bag where frequencies go in and out of it. And ours is 7mm Faraday bag. So it's not an ironclad Faraday cage where nothing goes in and out of. Frequencies go in and out of it. And when you put good in it, it shows through. When you put bad in it, it says no, it doesn't allow it to go through.
Fascinating. I'm not sure okay, sure. I'm just going to smile and nod.
It's different. And I don't know. All we know is that when Dr. Berlando does his waveform tests on it, the grounding bags clinically passively treat up to 91% of the markers that are off, which is incredible. So it just tests really well. Dr. Rodney White did a sleep test. His deep sleep went from 45 minutes to 100 minutes, which is what you experienced the first night. Yeah. He did a test for 2 months straight. 2 months. That's not anecdotal. That's right. A 2-month doctor independent test. And he came back to me with the same enthusiasm you have. Oh my goodness, Justin, this is insane. For 2 months, I had 100 minutes. And towards the end of the 2 months, it dropped 5%. I put the grounding bag outside on the ground for a minute, brought it back in, and went back up 5%. Like, this is incredible. He's never tested anything. He's had trouble with sleep for over a decade and never found anything. So we know it just works better the way we deploy it.
That's incredible. No, like I said, I couldn't get over it. So I'm so glad that I'm not an exception, because you're making a difference in people's lives, right? So you're going to get this kind of enthusiasm and these kind of, it's funny because I have one testimonial that says it felt like a miracle because once we dialed in diet, once we dialed in some lifestyle changes, because what we're doing today as human beings is not conducive for health for human beings, right? Oh, this lifestyle is absolutely batshit crazy. And it was funny. So we just dialed in a few lifestyle stuff and she was like, it felt like a miracle, and really it can. Like, people can get really big, game-changing momentum in their health and wellness by implementing and going back to the foundations. And I think grounding is definitely back to the foundations, right? And that's what I love about these rocks as well, because I live in Colorado. And so I try to get my feet on the bare ground, as much as I can during the spring, summer, fall. But come winter, when there's 5 feet of snow, there's no way I'm going to put my bare feet outside on the grass. So I'm glad that we have an alternative to that. So.
Yeah. And then for those people in the cold, just touch a tree too. If you can't get out,
I do.
Touch a tree, do a picnic or something. I mean, and I do lots of cold water therapy. I live in Laguna Beach, California. So I'm in the water a lot, getting grounded every day, literally. And so we got to find those times and ways to do it. And even if it's not just directly touching the ground with your feet bare, just do it with a hand, or just get outside into nature in some way, shape, or form, because that'll help.
Amen. Hey, so I know you have a little bit of a one step further biohacking. You have a tapping protocol that you do with this. Could you walk us through that and explain to us how and why that works, what that's about?
Yes. So this is probably one of the biggest components of our grounding bags. Is the reason people are so sensitive to EMFs, Heather, is because they're toxic and they're basically full of EMF in their biofield and in their body. And so what we do is we use the grounding bags as a self-home care protocol to detox your biofield or clear. It's an external flush, if you will, of your energy field of any stuck EMF. So what we do is you put the grounding bag on your chest and you tap on it. And just that alone will 10x someone's energy. And you'll feel it releases. You might swallow, burp, or yawn, or whatever. That's that energy going out. Okay. So tap and breathe and ground and have the antenna grounding. That'll increase your energy. Now, the 4 areas that get decharged. So these are the weak links for EMF. So when I'm working with athletes, most athletes get hurt in their joints, right? Oh, I twisted my ankle, or I sprained my wrist, or I hurt my knee. shoulder, what have you. Well, the weak links for our body are our eyes, our teeth, our thymus, which is our upper chest, and then our intestines below our belly button. Those areas get decharged. So what you do is you use a grounding bag as a self-home care protocol, tap on the bag with one hand, cover the eyes with the other, and do that for about 30 seconds or so. Tap and breathe. Then you go to cover your teeth. Tap and breathe. And then cover your thymus. And your thymus is your electrical system for your body. So this is where all your energy comes from.
Well,
so
it's
this
also
is probably,
the seat of your soul. Like this area here is quite powerful.
it's probably the most important. A lot of times when you start here, that'll recorrect some of the other ones. And that's how powerful that spot is. And then you go below your belly button, tap and breathe. And you can tap on the bag and then the other hand directs where it goes. But just with that, with your intent, will help immensely recharge you. And then one other hack, secret for the LymeBoss's crew, is to use red light therapy. If you have a red light in any way, shape, or form, shine that on a laser, what have you. Because a lot of people, if they're going through stuff, sometimes they have these extra little toys. If you have any red light, put it on there and do it with that. And it'll act like you're tapping on it the whole time without having to tap. It exponentially makes it stronger.
You mean put the red light
On the bag, shine it on the bag.
shine it on the bag,
Yeah.
and then hold it over the area?
Yeah. So I have red light here.
Because I have a little red light wand.
Yeah. So I use this one. And so we shine it at the bag and it's like, well, it's powerful. And yeah, so your lymph ducts are below your collarbone, so you can flow that for the upper and lower body and then point it at the bag. And this will help anyone recharge and feel exponentially better.
My God, I can't wait to play with that. I'm so excited. Who knew? Like, I cannot get over it. It still makes me laugh. Like, I'm going through a divorce right now, so I'm sleeping alone, but I'm not sleeping alone because I have a bag of rocks next to my pillow next to me. And like I said, it goes in my purse and it goes in my car, and I just am laughing at the girl who's toting around a bag of rocks with her. But I'm not laughing because of how much more productive I've been, because I haven't needed naps and my brain isn't getting all inflamed. It's given me more productive hours during the day, with my history of Lyme disease and mold. Even though I put a lot of it in remission, there's still, I used to have a time limit, right, of real productiveness with my brain, and it's easily doubled since I've started using this as well. So like I said, my productivity is just like gone through the roof. So like I said, I'm a fan. I am a fan. Justin,
I love it.
I am a fan.
Thank you. Well, for those that don't want to carry around about 1 pound of crystals, you can carry the mini, and that'll help as well.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah. You just need to recharge it every couple weeks versus every couple months with a full size. So that's the only difference, but way more easy to carry in a purse, pocket, or backpack. And I have it in my pocket, and I put my phone on the outside of it, so I have a layer of protection between my body and the phone.
And thank you for that reminder of recharging. And I need to actually put that a reminder in my phone to recharge the bag.
Yeah. And the Faraday bags, you guys, are huge. When you put your phone in it, it protects you from your phone. Those are the smaller one. We have bigger size ones as well. You could put a couple phones in it. These things are great because it protects you from your phone, and saves the life of your battery of your phone. And it's
I was noticing that. I was like, well, how do I still have 80%? I'm like, it must be something having to do with this bag.
Well, the reason is, Heather, is because the data harvesting, they're aggregating your information at record speeds. So this is tech at its greatest. They're taking all this information, sending it to AI to chip into our privacy and get every bit of information they can on us. The amount of information they're aggregating, we're 20 years behind, but they know everything about us, our gait, how well we sleep. Obviously, they're learning olfactory stuff, which is crazy. I don't know how, but these phones are so scary. They know all our passwords, our bank accounts, who we voted for, where we live, I mean, the list goes on and on. They know everything about us. And so we want to slow down that and never give away these biometrics, these single unique identifiers. And they're already collecting our voice, but our eyes scan, you don't want to do that face scan, finger, palm print. Like go into these Whole Foods and stuff, and they're saying, oh, use a palm print for commerce. What the heck? Never give that away, because once you give away your single unique identifier, it's really tough to get it back. It's not like you can just replace a digit.
Totally creepy. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But thank you for coming on here and doing the beautiful things that you do in this world. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we work together more in the future and having you back on. And how do people get a hold of you?
EMFrocks.com, EMF, electromagnetic fields, EMFrocks.com, athleticism.com. We have all our curated products. We have an MCT oil, which helps buffer insulin because diabetes is an electrical challenge. It wasn't around 130 years ago, and now it is. So these are huge things to realize that every spike in electrification in our atmosphere is directly correlated with disease. So before we introduced electricity in our homes, it was from solar flares and cosmic shifts. And now 1918 radio waves, and then satellites, and then radar, and then 5G the last few years. Every big pandemic is directly correlated to spikes in EMF. So when we start to understand our environment, we can get grounded by nature, because that's our nature. And you can have protection by getting outside for free. And then when you're at home, use the grounding bags to get grounded in your home.
Hey, everybody, if you like what you heard today, if you learned something, if you got inspired like I did, please make sure that you like, subscribe, share. That's how this information gets around the world, and we help heal each other, help heal the planet, and we do this collectively. Justin, thank you again for everything that you're doing in this world. And I'm just so honored to have met you and to spend time with you. Like, I'm like choking back tears right now. I'm just so moved by everything that you've done and just how much you've helped me already in my little healing journey. So God bless you, everybody.
Bless you.
Have a healthy day.